G'day, Stu from OV Futures here, and today, well, we're going to be reviewing this. Now, Stuart, what's this strange contraption you are holding? Well, this is the Owl from Flex RC. This is designed to run 3-inch motors, strong enough to carry a GoPro, and the exciting part, look at these awesome prop guards on the outside. So this is definitely going to be great for those sort of indoor FPV little sessions. Anyway, I can't wait. We're going to chuck it on the bench and see what she comes with. All right, let's get started. All right, now everything comes nicely in this box, so let's open it up and see what we get. Alrighty, so let's have a look at everything, and we'll talk about all these in detail, but this is everything that came in my kit. So we've got our frames just here, and even though it looks like one, it's actually been zip tied together for the moment. So we've got, I guess, our top and bottom plates for our frame just here. We've got our standoffs and things like that, and some other little carbon parts that go with the frame. We've got a Diatone PDB. Really exciting to see in this kit. We've got an F3 Diatone flight controller, so it's definitely a step up from the Naze and things like that. In terms of propulsion, we've got some DYS 1306 4000 kV motors, and some also some DYS XM20A BL Heli ESCs. I'm really pumped to use these, actually. Heard great things about these ESCs. And then also on the other end of them, making the thrust, we have some Dow props, these 45 bullnose props, these tri-props just here. And connecting it up, you get this little Lemon RX satellite receiver as well. And you may have noticed there's no FPV gear or anything like that, but don't worry, there is the option over at Flex RC. I'm going to be using my own FPV gear, but there is the option where they'll include the VTX and the camera, and I think there's also then the option to put in the transmitter and things like that as well, so you can have the ultimate package. Anyway, this is what I've got, so we're going to be putting this together, and then I'm going to put in my FPV gear, and we'll see how she goes. So let's jump into the nitty-gritty, and we'll start off by looking at the frame. Alrighty, so here's the frame, and you might have noticed some things already. Yes, it can hold your cups. Good joke, Stuart. Alright, so here's the frame, and you may have noticed some things already that look very different to some of the other frames that I've been reviewing in the past, and that is because it's got these propeller guards on the outside. So this is the top plate, and this is the bottom plate, depending on which way you want to build it, because this frame can either be a pusher or a puller. We'll talk about that too more when it comes to the motor choices and things like that. But yes, that's probably the first thing a lot of people are going to notice, that it has these sort of circular sort of pieces around the outside, and that's going to mean it protects the propellers when it's flying. So it's going to be fantastic for indoor flying because it's not going to bump into anything. Now the whole thing itself, I guess, from motor to motor is about 115 millimeters from motor to motor, but the entire length of the thing, actually I'm going to have to get a ruler, excuse me. The entire length of the thing, diagonal to diagonal, is 220 millimeters, but that's okay because it is taking into account the outsides of the props and also a little bit of carbon on the outside of that. Now the two frames, they're similar, so this one will line up perfectly on the top just here, and we'll call this to the top plate for the meanwhile anyway. So this top plate will line up just here on this one, but one is a lot thinner, and this one has some arms and some extra cutouts and things like that that this one doesn't have. So the main plate, I guess, that you're going to be mounting your motors and your PDB and all that goodness to, that is coming in at 2.6, so I guess 2.5 millimeters thick. So that's that one there. Let's zero this in. So the main plate just here, that's coming in at 2.5 millimeters just there. And the top plate, I guess, is coming in at 1.5 millimeters. Now it's designed to spin 3-inch props just here, which is fantastic because it came with these tri-blade bullnose 30-45 props, so we should be getting a decent amount of thrust in such a small little footprint just here. So 3-inch props is what this bad boy is going to run. Alright, and now let's talk about the cutouts just here. So this frame is a little bit different because it's got some things designed in a little bit of a different way because its whole body is sort of spread out. So right at the front here, you've got your options for mounting your FPV camera. So this is where I'm going to be putting my FPV camera. In the middle, you'll notice there's a whole bunch of cutouts and slits and things like that, and that's because there's so many options and ways you can think about building this thing. It'll pretty much, it says on there, will take any sort of VTX combo and things like that. So you've got your spaces for your PDB and things like that to be situated on here, and at the back you've got your standard sort of antenna mounting just here for your little pigtail, and you'll also notice that's in the top as well because you can have this as the top plate or the bottom plate depending on how you want to build. Around the outside, you've got a bunch of standoff holes, so that's where you put your standoffs to put your frame together. And overall, I think it is a fantastic sort of design. Now, for some reason, I got these two little plates just here, and I've been trying to think, they say Flex RC on them, and I've been trying to think where they go, because I looked online and I looked at their product page and things like that, and I couldn't find where these go. but this is my theory anyway. So this sort of matches up with the holes that are on the front for the FPV space. So maybe if you want to carry a GoPro or something like that, you can actually sit this plate on here. Or if you didn't want to use two plates at all, you could simply take the bottom plate, and I've noticed that this other second little plate just here might fit perfectly over and cover your sort of components inside just here maybe. So that's my sort of two theories on it, but I'm not 100% sure. Perhaps it could be protect your battery or something like that. Anyway, I will let you know if I discover that. So with all that said and done, let's have a look what it looks like with the hardware and when it's all put together and things like that. Alright, so here it is all built, and I've got to say I love the look of it already. I can't wait to see this thing sort of hovering around the house because that's what I intend it to do. Now you'll notice I've been saying a pusher or a puller sort of quad and things like that, and that is because what I intend to do with this is make this top plate, I'm going to spin the motors upside down to a traditional sort of quad and have them pushing out the bottom, and that's because I've got this protection just here and because of the standoffs and things like that, it's going to be possible to do that. So I can't wait to actually try this because I've never tried one of these pusher quads before, so that's going to be fantastic. And from what I've heard, it offers a little bit better efficiency in terms of thrust and things like that at the cost of cooling the motors. But because these motors are only tiny and it's just for floating around the house, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Now this is something I really find interesting. At the front of the quad you actually have a little bit of space sort of on the opposite side to where most of your components go. Usually you've got sort of like a rectangle or something in the middle just here, a column, but this place we actually have a small gap where the propellers are almost meeting, and then it comes back up, and this is where you're going to mount your FPV gear. So we're going to have our FPV gear here at the front. We're going to have a look at the flight controller and the board and things like that, and with our VTX, and then we'll put it out this back pigtail. Alright, so overall I really think it's a fantastic little frame. Let's look at what else comes in the kit. Alright, so the business side of things, let's look at the propulsion. So we have, just here we've got our ESCs, our motors, and our props. And I've got to say, I think this is a great little combo, a really, really good quality combo that the guys at Flex RC are sending out. Alright, so over here we've got the DYS XM 20 amp ESCs. And I've got to say, I have not tried these, but I've read great things. So apparently these are meant to be a step up from the common little bees, so fantastic. Great to see these in there. And something I also love, they're rated, as well as being rating 3 and 4S, that's fine, but it's got these little solder pads just here, which means you no longer need to take off the heat shrink, desolder them, and then put on your motor wires and things like that. You can just directly connect up your motors straight to these pads. So great choice on the ESCs. I really, really like that choice right there. All right, moving along to our motors, which the ESC is going to be driving. We're going to be using some DYS 1306 4000 kV motors. And the reason that's important, because 4000 kV means it's going to be able to spin our props very, very fast, and that's extremely important because our props are actually quite small. 3-inch, you don't get too much power off 3-inch, which is why we're going to be running these. Now these are the Dal Tri-Blade 3045 bullnose props, so they're 3-inch bullnose props at a 45 pitch, and with these on here we're going to be able to generate enough thrust to be zipping around, so it should be fantastic. And if we put this on a 4S battery, which it should be able to handle, we should be able to smash it outside as well. And the last two little things that came in my kit, we've got our PDB, which these are both from Diatone, so our Diatone PDB and also our flight controller. Now this is just a simple little PDB. It's got your ports and things like that for your different ESCs, so ESC 1, 2, 3 and 4, as well as some voltage in and things like that. It's got some 12 volts out and also some 5 volts, so a nice little simple lightweight PDB, so that's going to be great on such a tiny little build. And then the last thing I'm going to be using is this Diatone F3 board just here, and this is going to be fantastic because F3 flight controllers are definitely doing a lot more nowadays, so I can't wait to put this in there. I think it's going to make our quad fly fantastic. And then on the other end of all that flying is going to be our Lemon Satellite RX satellite receiver. Now I've used a couple of these in the past. I've had some on my micros, I've used one on my Atom, and I think that these things are fantastic, especially if you de-shell them. They're extremely light for what they offer, so I really, really like this. It's going to be perfect for flying around inside the house. If you want a little bit more range, I'd probably recommend something like some of the, like a D4R2 or some of the S-Bus FrSky receivers and things like that. But for me around the house, this is going to be perfect. So with that all said and done, I guess it's time to build the thing and see how she looks right here. Alright, so now I've built the thing. I've got to say, this thing turned out so much better than I could have possibly hoped. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't think it was going to actually be this much fun. So I've been flying it around and thrashing it and having an absolute blast, and I absolutely love the propeller protection. That's very difficult to say, propeller protection around the outside. That's fantastic, so I love those guard props. And I was correct about this plate just here, so this is so you can attach your GoPro or something like that if you want to Velcro that down. And this other little plate that came with it, you can use that to protect your battery, or if you want to use it like me, I'm protecting my VTX. But overall, I absolutely love the little design and the shape and things like that, and I think it works really well for what it's trying to be. It really achieves that goal of being the ultimate indoor FPV flyer. So absolutely fantastic. Now, in saying how awesome this thing is, there is still some things I would like to see if there was a revision to the frame to make it even better. Now, what are they? What are they? Number one, I would love a different sort of camera mount. So at the moment, I've used this little bit of foam and something like that because it doesn't actually come with any hardware that I could see anyway, or didn't come in my kit, to actually mount your FPV camera in here. So I've had to use a bit of foam and tape and things like that. Look, I think it looks pretty cool as it is. So it reminds me of Claptrap or something like that. Anyway, I digress. But I would love to see sort of an official way to mount the cameras that they're selling, especially the ones that come in the kits. Another part here, we've got these two little standoffs, and I've got them on the top just here to make it easy for my sort of Velcro and stuff to go through on this sort of top plate that's going to hold down your GoPro. I wish these are my own ones. They did not include those, so it'd be great. Shouldn't be very expensive, but great if FlexRC threw them into the kit just to sort of offer some more build sort of viability if you don't want to have it flat against the top plate of the carbon. Another thing would be if they could include a spare standoff. Now, I've got a whole set of spare standoffs, but they're different sizes. It takes 9 standoffs to go around the frame, and I got 9 in my pack, 9 in one pack, and then 9 of a little bit different. I'd love it if they included 10. So if you lost one or broke one or bent one, or one was not working, or for some reason you needed to replace one, you would have that one spare option, so you wouldn't need to go out and replace them all. So maybe it'd be great if they included an extra standoff for each size that comes with the kit. And then the final thing, guys, just throw in a zip tie or two when you're going to order this, please. Because if FlexRC could put in an extra zip tie, I know it's going to make life easier for a lot of those sort of first-time builders, especially people who are going to buy the kits, because they're not always 100% sure just what they'll need, and it's just that little touch to let them know that you're sort of taking care of all the needs that they're going to come across. Anyway, but overall, an absolutely stellar little frame, and I love it to death. I can't wait to get some more flights on this bad boy. So there it is. There's my review of the Hour from FlexRC, and I gotta say, this thing is really cementing its place, I guess, in one of the top places for my favorite quads, simply because I can thrash this thing around inside, and I can, no matter if it's raining or dark or anything like that, means I can still get my sort of FPV fix like I know all of us are wanting. So I definitely can recommend this for some of those people who just absolutely need to get some FPV and maybe got a tiny yard or something like that. The Owl is killing it, so you're going to be definitely getting a lot more flight time on this bad boy. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with some flight footage of it flying around the house. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying! That's me being an owl, you know, like the animal.